Says Black Jester Matters, and we're going to. The hell is that? I want to see. I expect it to be streaming to Odyssey right now. Okay, it's a little delayed. We'll see. Anyway, it's certainly live now. Odyssey is having had some hiccups. Okie dokie. So, I got some things to talk about. I mean, naturally. Most people see this in recording audio or listen to it audio-wise. I do this at a really odd time, and never at the same time twice. So, just post it on my website, and boom, I decided to do it. Did it. Anyway, if you would like to help, and I mean, the thing you can donate or get a shirt at itemshop.org, or that's something you can at least enjoy. Remember, fold it inside out when you wash it. It lasts longer. The design lasts longer that way. It fades away longer. It's a little trick. It's something I learned. Anyway, and there's some links down below that are not officially sponsoring, but I do get something out of it. And there's some that I don't get out of anything out of it. I just like the stuff. So, well. Anyway, only everything I liked would have a code at the end of it. So, yeah, we're looking at some unfortunate situations today. But what I want to start with right now is a statement as far as the concept of radicalization and the big problem with radicalization and where it comes from. And I hope the bit rate is right anyway here. Radicalization is an interesting thing. It's a concern. It's weird. It's a concern. It's a problem. It's I guess people on Odyssey send Odyssey chats too. But anyway, radicalization's a problem, but where it comes from is not really discussed properly. And the problem with that is that people blame videos and what people look for, and I mean, they look for stuff because they're going to find it, or expect to find it, and the search words are already in their head and stuff like that. If you're looking at things like if you're looking at things like well, there are problems that I had this really well thought out before, but basically it goes down to the black pilling. What people do is black pill, and black pilling. It's a good Razor Fist video. You can look it up. Just type in Razor Fist and propaganda. It is a good picture breakdown of propaganda and how it's designed to blackpill people. But as an addendum to the concept of blackpilling, the problem with the black pill is that the black pill is actually what radicalizes people. And people who blackpill people, and people who have policies that blackpill people, such as Trudeau and so like that, they radicalize people. And Trudeau is probably the responsible for radicalizing two factions of an argument at once. Justin Trudeau and his merry band of fascists of the World Economic Forum. And I quote, sort of Canada is so complex that we are a monarchy that has a semi-democratic system that applies seems to apply a socialist fascism of sorts. Well, a marriage between government and corporate interest. But in doing so, there's a divide and conquer factor, which requires and such things require, such fascistic things do require, like communism or anything else, it requires a healthy load of divide and conquer. And to divide and conquer, it's very healthy to make sure you get some black pill people. You radicalize them to a specific side. Or you radicalize them, in fact, you radicalize them to two sides. Pardon me. Ugh. So you find with libertarians that there's very little black pilling in libertarians. Libertarians tend to really believe that we will see our we'll see liberty in our lifetime, or at least we'll see it at the end of our lifetime, or something like that. It's very hard, it's very demanding, and it's possible for any of us to get black-pilled. But even any philosophy, even libertarianism, could have its radical ends, like anarchists or something like that, where the newest recruits tend to be a little more, I guess, enthusiastic about the movement, and a little more radical on the, like, for instance, anarchistic. Especially if they've been blackpilled to what they were basically worshipping before, which is usually a government and a very, very pro-government philosophy. So, but basically, when you've blackpilled someone to one side of something, the moment you give them a little bit of hope by introducing them another possibility, another option, another philosophy, you have built yourself a new radical, a new far left, far right, which, let's say, far basically is the authoritarian end of these things. Far right is authoritarian right, far left is authoritarian left. Right, the right authoritarian is monarchy, militarism, and I guess the center would be fascism, since it kind of borders on the left and right aspects. And the left, of course, is socialism, National Socialism, Sovietism, Maoism, that sort of thing. I guess with Canada you have some. I guess you have the centrist authoritarian, which is a mixture of a little bit monarchism and militarism with some some Sovietism, or socialism, or whatever. And when it goes down to it, these things don't really matter because basically it's authoritarianism. That's where you'll think of the racist, for instance, whether they're white supremacist or they're financial supremacists, I guess, which would be the monarchy thing. It doesn't really matter what they're basically going to the ends of giving somebody unbearable amounts of power, and that's over other people. Because when it goes down to it, usually with the authoritarian racism, and so that you're not going to find that just minorities will suffer, or one nation under one race, like China, for instance, the approved ethnic state. Granted, there are some others from other they're not liked. Anyway, but what you do have there is eventually, if people are not sharing the level of intolerance you are for the other, what usually happens is that person will suffer punishment for not being pure enough in their belief against either a race or a class level or anything. Your intolerance has to be as good as required. Suppose it could be like the work formula of potential energy versus kinetic energy, or kinetic energy used to reach the potential energy. I guess that would be the inverse in the case of authoritarianism. But yeah, that's basically. So what you have there is we have lots of people blackpilling and people saying things that are dangerously self-prophesizing, like even like civil wars and stuff like that. And what that does is that just creates otherizations, I guess you can call them. And in these otherizations, you have highly black-pilled people who you can just radicalize against each other, or radicalizing as a peaceful faction that isn't black-pilled. And I suppose so. That's how a lot of that ends up happening. It's nothing to do with people finding certain internet videos or anything like that. That's just a catalyzing effect, if it has any effect at all. Because people are going to start looking for stuff they're radicalized to. And that happens in the regular political scenarios in political parties and stuff like that. And people with basic interests in maintaining a power base. That's the only reason people radicalize anybody, is to gain a political base or maintain a political base of power. And that's what we face now in a very troubling sense. And a lot of people have no idea the dangers involved. And that's because in a radicalized phase, you're not concerned with actual details. You're concerned with my tribe versus their tribe, and that's the worst scenario to be judging things from. Now, I'm not saying any particular group of people are radicalized. I mean, I have I've been involved in the freedom movement and the liberty movement. I find assholes on both. I've found enemies on protesting sides and counter-protesting sides. I've seen nice people on both sides too. Uh, kind of almost get overwhelmed on how tolerant some people were on the counter-protest side in Vancouver the other day. It's like, really? Okay. Even shook hands. No elbow shit. That was really funny. I didn't even realize he was a counter-protester. He just asked me, what do you think of this counter-protest? Well, everyone has a right to protest, right? Counter or otherwise. I mean, as long as no one's telling anyone that they have no right to have an opinion, that's fine. I mean, free speech is a double-edged sword, and it's worth getting cut now and then. It is a very wonderful thing, free speech. It's a double-edged sword. You can get cut now and then, and you just learn to wield it better, if that's the case. So yeah, fear no error. Allow reason to fulfill its mission. Sort of a paraphrase on a Jeffersonian quote. So what we have is I find myself slightly agitated, irritated a little bit. Let's see if anyone's joined in or chatting. Wonder if I can get the chat window. Well, whatever. It's a bad time to start getting peed up, though, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, well, the real enemy isn't even the counter-protests or anything like that. They're just doing their thing. I know some people, like News Now Canada's guy, likes to shout at people with black masks. I mean, really, an Antifa guy alone, they never do shit on their own. I mean, it's just pointless drama. I don't know what his deal is. He's got some sort of illness. He's kind of disappeared after a while. I don't know, maybe they arrested him or something. Not sure what happened to that guy. Smith, was it? Donald Smith. I wish him well. I hope he's... I did see him at a protest a little while back. He just hasn't posted an Odyssey recently, I guess. Anyway, what I getting to is that the big problem are the cops and the state and the government. The government that's attacking anybody who's considered anti-government. Basically, you're considered far right if you're anti-government. So basically, they also called Antifa far right. So we're thinking, well, the far left aren't going to be attacked, but well, Antifa might think they're far left, but by description, by the guy in charge of the emergencies, the Minister Marco something rather. He's Trudeau's, I guess, hitman in this scenario of the Emergencies Act. He referred to the enemy as far right, but his definition of far right are anti-government. Now, to think of the right-left dynamic, originally the left-right dynamic referred to the right wing as the governing party in France, in the French Revolution period, in fact, and the left wing was considered the opposition party, or parties. And that's how the original left and right came from. And now we got like left-right authoritarians and left-right liberty focused people as a new four-way dynamic, I guess. And makes things a little more interesting, I think. But basically, the BLM and Antifa, they're considered anti-government. So, by the definition of the fellow in this Marco fellow in the Trudeau cabinet and a member of Privy Council, is that basically everyone from libertarians to populist conservatives to populist leftists to anyone who uttered anything anti-government is considered the enemy and considered a target in the Emergency Act invocation. That is exactly what he said. This would even include all of us anti-monarchists out there. People who oppose the Queen and her family's rule over us. Yeah, I know constitutional monarchy, yet they also say it's democracy, and then they say it's this and this. A lot of bullshit. I'm not really concerned about systems as much as the fact that there's no liberty involved in any of it, and that's the problem. People say, but democracy. Yeah, you can have liberty without democracy, but you can't have democracy without liberty, because liberty is the only thing that allows democracy to actually exist. Because people will vote away democracy as much as they'll vote away liberty. And that's exactly, it's a self-defeating system without liberty involved. Without some sort of constitutional parchment stating you have these rights. Which of course includes a charter of rights where they hopefully find 51% of the House in Canada to appeal Section 1 of the and appeal the notwithstanding clause in and adding those appeals to the charter as amendments. Those things are a huge problem. It just makes the whole thing a joke. The U.S. Bill of Rights is the only thing I think we should adopt. The U.S. Bill of Rights. We should just transfer the first 10 amendments over here and make that law. Hell, we're a trading partner. We're on the border. We should basically say we agree to the Bill of Rights of the United States and post that in the charter as an amendment. Herein-forth, this document is replaced by the U.S. Bill of Rights. I much prefer that. But even there, it still takes the vigilance of individuals to maintain their liberties, fight for their liberties, and I respect this trucker convoy scenario, or protest on that score. I don't respect the bouncy castles, I don't respect DJs, I don't respect this. I mean, I kind of find the hot tub kind of funny, flaunting shit. That's kind of funny, but still, decide whether it's a protest or a festival. I respect the peaceful protest, and you shouldn't bring kids into it. Keep the kids out. That's a fucking leftist tactic. Using kids to push. Oh, look how cute they are. Look how much fun they're having. Be sentimental about this shit. We shouldn't be pushing sentimentality. Anyone that serves liberty should be just supporting liberty. Sentimentality is just what leads to people voting out liberty. It's another big problem, the emotional factor that affects democracy, or infects democracy, and therefore ends liberty. And we should be very concerned about this. I wish I could tell more jokes, but this thing is a really bad problem. This is a very bad problem. It's a very bad time. I'm one generation away from a refugee, and I'm already thinking I might have to be a refugee. This is not what my family came over here for, man. It was not what they came over here for. Was not the promise. Trudeau has broken the promise that was made to my family. I guess you can say I'm in the same seat as natives then. They're just like their families. My family was lied to as well by them. The promise broken. And which is probably why a lot of them don't like Trudeau as well. Because it's all that clean water he didn't provide. I don't know, for the first Trudeau started sterilization, he ended with dirty water. Been a great family for Native or First Nations or Indians or whatever the fuck the category. I don't know what to call anything anymore. I see Russell Means' point. He preferred Indian because Native could mean anyone born here, which is a totally reasonable point of view. He started the American Indian. He started the American Indian thing. I can't remember the association, was it? Movement, American Indian Movement, the AIM. So, what we're looking at here. So we'll see lots of various problems. I mean, there's whole issue with this. I mean, it doesn't matter what. It shouldn't matter what you think about mandates and stuff either. I mean, this is a whole other bag of bones. This, because in the fact that it does broadly, and the fact they do want to attack anti-government types, anti-monarchists do fall in the category as well. People on the left, people on the right, anyone who's espoused any anti-government attitude. That's what Trudeau's government is defining as far right. And I mean, that puts Antifa, Libertarians, BLM, all of us on the same side. All these different groups. In fact, I mean, it's kind of funny that BLM groups were starting to take a stance against the mandates, and suddenly their charity gets scrutinized. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Not totally ha-ha funny, but anyway, I'm gonna have to get up and go take a piss at some point. I'll try to get through this without that, but not sure how long I've been doing this yet. But anyway, I wonder how long this will transmit for. I'll do a Drebin. I don't stand up. Anyway, oh shit. Anyway, Christ. This becomes a problem when you, of all the times. So yeah, got the problem, and got a problem with them cracking down on people who are anti-government, people who have been involved in Ottawa, people who are running their businesses in Ottawa and selling services to the truckers. They're also getting in trouble. So they're saying, we don't like this. We don't like the fact that businesses had to close, and we didn't like the fact that they've been shutting down the economy for 2 years, and they also been shutting punishing people for serving the truckers and running their businesses, like feeding truckers and stuff like that. And they're paying customers, for fuck's sake. They said they wanted people to be able to do their business there and run their businesses there. And they were running their business there, and they still get in trouble. Bullshit. They're all fucking liars, or they don't research damn anything. This Port Moody representative, for God's sake, Port Moody, vote this cunt out. She's a moron. She doesn't research anything. She just assumes all of you idiots, all of you rubes in Port Moody don't know what you're talking about. Because you know why? Because you just vote NDP blindly. You don't even look into it. You don't even look into what a snob elite this person is. I mean, really. There's the same problem with my constituency, too. I'm sure if they knew exactly what monstrosity we have as a fucking MP, they wouldn't have voted her in either. But it's such as like, we gotta blindly vote for this party because we always did. Because they supported the workers once upon a time. Unless they're keen to keep the party on a tight leash and to its original concepts, it will stray. You saw that with the Conservatives and O'Toole. You saw that. Well, even the Liberals, too. They're not what they were when Chrétien was involved. Well, actually, come to think of it, Chrétien would appreciate this situation. Actually, he's probably kicking himself wondering why during the APEC protests, he didn't invoke this thing. He might have been in less trouble. But, I mean, shit. Naomi Klein is in trouble because of this thing. Because, I mean, shock doctrine and no logo, those are two of the most, probably two of the most anti-government books I can imagine from the 90s. That P.G. O'Rourke didn't write anyway. Or Pat Buchanan didn't write. But pretty well anti-government. So, I mean, if Naomi Klein's still about, they're probably thinking about freezing her accounts too. Just in case she writes a new book or something that is anti-government. I don't know, she probably sold out by now too. So many people have fucking sold out, it's incredible. Now, when you live in a place like East Vancouver or Port Moody, you're probably so envious of Oshawa because they actually have that's the one place where they have an MP that gives a fuck what their constituents actually say to them and ask about them. And the Oshawa guy gets cut off asking about who in the cabinet is in the WEF. Easy to search. Search a politician name, space, WEF, in a pre-search or I'll leave a link in the video and audio description when I post them later for a search engine that works really well. There's also the Brave search engine and GoDaddy. But engine.presearch.com, I think it might be, yeah. Anyway, any name with WEF, if you want to find out if they've said great things about it, like Bernier, or they're on the board currently of the World Economic Forum, they don't hide it. It's quite impudent. Doug Ford just got on there, and they didn't have a profile description for him yet. They just put his name up. And then Horgan is on there, the BC Premier. Anyway, the Oshawa guy made this question, suddenly is cut off. I think the I think the speaker was a little concerned because he'd think, oh God, this is going to go viral. And it wasn't looking forward to that ending up that way. And someone said disinformation. The Oshawa guy couldn't respond. It wasn't or misinformation. It was someone spouted out automatically without even being introduced by the speaker. It was out of order too, and everything else. But there was a claim that they couldn't hear it, but they could hear it. It was a bullshit. And I'm sorry, you can't call it a conspiracy when you're doing it in front of people on a recording you yourself allow, for God's sakes. It's like the Klaus Schwab speech. They put it on the goddamn website. It's in print even. Yeah, well, I even have this book there. That blue book of his. It's terribly written, by the way. It's a horrible to read. It's just very bad. You can tell it's not done by a professional author, that's for sure, or anything, or writer of any kind. Anyway, so the other problem, I mean, I wish I had an MP that would, respond with my concerns rather than just reading a party manuscript from a Zoom call. It's very nice of the Oshawa MP, and congratulations, Oshawa, you got the one MP that's worth their fucking salary. Now, yeah, so now we got old ladies being trampled by fucking mounted pigs. Pardon me, cops. This is an event that people are repeating to this Port Moody MP, this trampled old lady. And a lot of people got the facts confused, fair enough, but she could have researched it, she could have looked into it, she didn't. She just accepted the fact that everyone had a different expression of how it went down, as if it were wrong, which is not accurate. It's just that some people hear this from other people, and then it follows that path of a rumor, where eventually the words will, a lot of people will say it differently. They may not get the details exactly right, but they're in the ballpark. It's up to her to look into the stuff when their constituents are concerned, or up to her when her constituents are concerned to look into this stuff. A terrible human being. I mean, if your party won't let you do it, quit. Quit the party. Be an independent. I said be a libertarian, but that might be a stretch for an NDPer, especially the recent kind. Maybe less for Tommy Douglas's era, but certainly more for. Anyway, these are serious problems. We are looking at a martial law. They may be focused on specific areas at a time, possibly for subtlety's sake, although I don't see any of this as subtle. Just pointed. And we can't know they're not going to target everybody else who's considered anti-government. That might be fine for someone who's working in the government and getting a pension from the government eventually, or hoping to. But it ain't fine for the rest of us. And, hell, I'm just going to cut this off now. Have a good night, morning, evening. Take a look at the description. Thank you very much. Good night, morning, whatever. audio off.